It's 3 litres, it's an inline 6, it's twin turbo, and it's got massive tuning potential. You're thinking of a 2JZ, right? Wrong. This is getting a grip on the BMW N54. BMW is well known for their sometimes outlandish and unique engines. There have been everything from 6-litre V12s paired to a manual, to 3.2-litre inline 6s revving to 8,000 RPM. But what many don't realise is that BMW has also created an engine that some consider to be the modern 2JZ, the N54. But before we get to the BMW's engine, let's take a look at the actual Toyota 2JZ first. It was a 3-litre inline 6 available in both NA and twin-turbo variants. Inside, it came equipped with a forged crank and rods, but hyper-eutectic cast pistons. It was mated to either a manual or automatic gearbox. The turbocharged version made 276 horsepower and 320 pound-foot of torque in the Supra, Aristo V and Aristo V300. The BMW N54 debuted in 2007 in the BMW 335i. It was a 3-litre inline 6 with twin turbos. Inside, it came equipped with a forged crank and rods, but hyper-eutectic cast pistons. It was available with either an automatic or manual transmission, and evolved from its NA relative, the M54. Power stood at 302 horsepower and 300 pound-foot of torque in the N54's first iteration. But that eventually pushed its way up to 335 horsepower and 330 pound-foot of torque. Now, the thing that made the 2JZ so incredibly popular, and something that still makes it a legend today, is the immense potential for power when you throw some more boost at it. Power can increase by over 100 horsepower with as little as a few $100s in mods. And figures of over 1,000 horsepower are perfectly achievable. So how does the N54 compare? Just like the 2JZ, swapping to a larger single turbo is a common practice and can turn the N54 into a monster of a power plant. Despite the N54's pistons being cast, that hasn't stopped cars running factory internals from pushing well over 500 horsepower. Push further than that though, and you start to see the weaknesses of the N54 rear their ugly heads. While many have hit around 800 horsepower numbers in the N54, it lacks one of the things that made the 2JZ so great: dependability. For perspective, 2JZs have been recorded pushing over 1,000 horsepower on stock internals bar uprated camshafts. Essentially, while the over-engineered 2JZ will just take more and more boost, most who shoot for high power in an N54 may start to see problems not long after their dyno sheet gets printed. Up until a few years ago, the N54's management system was locked, so tuners weren't able to get in and play with the mapping. Due to this, piggyback and standalone ECUs are a popular modification to start gaining more power. We're not trying to say that they're identical here. There's a 15-year gap between the engines, so they're always going to have differences. Some of these differences include that the 2JZ has an iron block, while the N54 has an aluminium one. The 2JZ uses port injection, while the N54 uses direct injection. 2JZ uses sequential turbos, N54 uses parallel turbos. While the 2JZ only added single camshaft VVT in late 1997, the N54 has dual VVT as standard. Before you run out and start swapping N54s into everything you can get your hands on, it's worth noting that they have their fair share of problems.
N54 side effects may include but are not limited to high pressure fuel pump failure, turbocharger failure, wastegate rattle, leaky fuel injectors, leaking boost, charge pipe failure, valve cover oil leaks, carbon buildup, fan or solenoid failure, and water pump failure. Please see a trained professional if you experience any of these problems. Terms and conditions apply.
You might think that with such a long list, it's an engine worth avoiding. However, each of these are either preventable or fixable, so it's not worth writing off. So while the N54 may not be the dependable workhorse the 2JZ is, it's an easily sourceable turbo inline 6 that takes the tuning like an MR2 takes the snap oversteering into a tree. Next year, we'll see Toyota bring back the Supra name, but what's interesting is that it's being co-built with BMW as the Z4's brother. Leaked documents hint that aside from the 4-cylinder options, there could be a 3-litre inline 6 turbo available, so now that partnership makes just a little bit more sense.